Katt Williams' outbursts weren't merely a show. People weren't prepared for the bombs he was dropping. He wasn't just aiming at the industry as a whole this time. Beyoncé was the one. Katt claims that the queen herself is staying quiet about something that has the potential to drastically alter public perceptions of Jay-Z, DMX, and the corrupt power dynamics that exist behind the scenes in the music industry. You see, this extends well beyond record deals and rap feuds. According to Katt, Beyoncé is aware of the true cause of DMX's absence. In addition to knowing, she is apparently hiding it from her husband in order to keep him safe. Let's go back. Now, for a considerable amount of time, DMX was more than simply another rapper looking to make a name for himself. 5 consecutive #1 albums in quick succession that had never been done before. Not Eminem, not Jay, not Nas. Money cannot purchase the kind of fan dedication that DMX possessed, along with the unadulterated fire and pain in his voice. However, in spite of all that power, his career took a nosedive the instant Jay-Z took over as president of Def Jam. Is it a coincidence? Irv GTI, Jay's former right-hand man, says not. He claims that Jay was in danger. Not motivated, not inspired, not intimidated. Jay apparently began undermining rather than cooperating. Silent actions, postponed albums, canceled promotions, and other forms of sabotage. Now picture this. At the top, DMX is getting ready to release his 6th album. He completes the album, and even films the music video for the main track. Jay contacts him and asks, "Hey, how are you? Finish with a bang." Then there was radio silence. No rollout, no updates, nothing. DMX complains over the radio, claiming that he feels as though Jay abandoned him to decay, claimed that he should be treated the same as everyone else and didn't require any special care. Apparently, though, that was asking for too much. And this is when the darkness begins. According to witnesses, Jay wanted DMX out of the picture because he was out of control. DMX wasn't into any of the politics or kissing the ring that most musicians were into. He never bowed or pretended to be subservient. In a system that promotes obedience, that made him dangerous. And that's precisely why Jay ended things, if you believe Katt Williams. On him, not only on his career. Katt claims that he connected with DMX because he recognized himself in that situation. The same rejection for speaking up, the same blackballing. Katt has been outspoken about how Hollywood attempted to disgrace him for opposing some of their goals, particularly the one involving the offensive Santa scene in Friday After Next. He declined to perform an assault-themed humor sequence. Outspoken. In front of everyone. And when he did, everything was different. The roles dwindled. As with X, the invitations stopped arriving. However, when you consider what is being stated about Beyoncé, the entire tale takes a dangerous turn. Several sources claim that she is aware of DMX's true fate. Even worse, she might be aware of Jay's other dubious actions throughout the years. She writes about someone bleeding on her couture dress in a bathroom in her song Daughter, and others are now delving into the lyrics. Before you know, it's a mirror image of the site where Jay's alleged pregnant mistress, Kathy White, was discovered dead. It sounds like art, said to have been caused by a brain aneurysm, but conspiracy theorists don't believe that. Next up is Jaguar. Right. In an interview, she went on the attack, saying that Jay and Beyoncé had done far more behind closed doors than the general public is aware of. From sabotaging initiatives like Surviving R. Kelly to hiding fatalities and holding them hostage. According to Jaguar, everything has a connection to the Carters. If she wasn't giving names and dates with such ruthless accuracy, you could dismiss her as insane. Therefore, Katt is not only conjecturing when he claims that Beyoncé is telling the truth, he claims that DMX's narrative will remain hidden deeper than anyone is willing to acknowledge until she speaks, and that the silence is calculated.
Jay-Z
did more than simply manipulate people's careers. When someone disobeyed his rules, he supposedly flipped the entire board, and DMX was the loudest opponent. IRVGTI claims that Jay's insecurities weren't limited to X's superior rapping skills. He was blatantly envious. The man saw DMX become the most popular artist, light up the streets, and win loyalty that Jay could never purchase. That was scorching. According to Irv, Jay would inquire directly, "You think he's better than me?" Furthermore, the query was not rhetorical. Jay needed confirmation that he was the one, but his response became increasingly awkward as the neighborhood grew. More sympathetic to his ex's broken growl than to Jay's wealthy bars. The tale of the trio record that was never released is what hurts the most. 3 titans on one record, a collaborative collaboration by DMX, Jay-Z, and Ja Rule, was scheduled to be released. X was down and Ja was in, but Jay was suddenly uninterested. Irv claims that Jay withdrew because he couldn't bear to be outshined. Lyrically, imagine wanting to destroy the entire production because you are that afraid of getting bodied on a track. It's not a strategy. Ego with a deity complex is what that is. And Jay is thought to have isolated, erased, and ultimately outmaneuvered DMX to the point of irreparability because of the same ego. Remember though, that DMX wasn't flawless.
He suffered from agony, trauma, addiction, demons, and other real
issues. This is where things get crazy though. The storyline being promoted was that X went into a downward spiral by himself. Labels were unwilling to put money into him.
He stopped spinning on the radio. He was said to be unstable.
However, if you look more closely, you see that none of it began until Jay took over. DMX was the golden child before it. He was a liability after that. It was too abrupt, too clean of a changeover. Beyoncé, meanwhile, avoided the public chaos. She knew everything, however, according to insiders. Not only DMX, but other occurrences as well. You see, Jay has previously been connected to unsavory rumors. The death of Kathy White remains suspicious. According to reports, she was expecting Jay's child when she unexpectedly passed away from a brain aneurysm. People who knew her stated she was happy, healthy, and ready to go public, but pathologists ruled it natural. And then there's the strange Beyoncé's confessional lyrics feel far too detailed to be metaphorical. Her fan assists her in cleaning up after spilling blood on the fancy restroom. Someone needs to explain why the timings fit Kathy's case so well, if it is merely creative writing. Accusing Beyoncé and Jay of stifling victims and going their influence to hide records that most people can't even see? Jaguar right even tossed gasoline on the flames. Jaguar claims to have first-hand knowledge of victims who are still too scared to come out. She's not merely conjecturing. She is giving names, connecting events, and drawing boundaries that no one else is willing to do. And when you think about it begins to feel less like a conspiracy and more like a terrifying prospect that nobody wants to discuss aloud. He's not afraid of anything now, Katt Williams. The man is still standing after being assaulted, ridiculed, and blackballed. For years, he has criticized the industry. However, this DMX issue is personal. He claimed that because they were both penalized for being honest, he could empathize with X, and for that reason, people pay attention when he claims that Beyoncé is concealing the truth. Not because he is flawless, but because he has previously been correct about Weinstein, dubious transactions, and the people in charge. And if he's correct this time, it implies that one of the industry's most powerful couples is sitting on bodies, rather than just secrets. It was no accident that Katt Williams ended up in this story. He has been gathering information that the industry thought would remain hidden, such as whispers, facts, anecdotes, and receipts. He has witnessed the disappearance of others by influential people for decades. Not necessarily in every situation, but in terms of reputation, career, silenced, and blacklisted. Katt realized it wasn't simply another terrible fall when DMX passed. Away under mysterious circumstances following years of suspected business sabotage. He recognized the pattern. It was the same pattern that nearly drove him insane. DMX has powerful opponents. They weren't only executives pushing papers either. Once artists, they became gatekeepers. Individuals with access, power, and the ability to make decisions that could make or break you, like Jay-Z. Jay apparently went out of his way to break down DMX rather than just ignoring him. IRVGTI and other ex-friends put it bluntly. DMX was a menace to Jay, not a brother, not a collaborator. A danger, one who outshone him, one who refused to prostrate, and one who made the air of standing tall in a company that encourages compliance. Those who spoke up said that DMX never folded, which was the scariest aspect. The game was never played by him. And some people think that's why his life was under continual physical, mental, and spiritual pressure. Those close to him claimed that because the industry refused to assist, the man never received the assistance he was due. They wanted him to disappear as quietly as possible, ideally without any mess. And when that failed, he continued to speak up and expose the fraud. The medications were made easily accessible. The media was used as a weapon. The system performed its function. Naturally, Jay has denied any misconduct. He has expressed in public his admiration for DMX and their shared history and love. However, it doesn't sound like love in the stories that keep coming up. They have the sound of competition, deceit, and erasure. And through it all, Beyoncé remains silent, unaffected, and unconcerned. But according to Katt and Jaguar Wright, silence is deliberate rather than passive or calculated. As you can see, there is a rising belief that Beyoncé is also involved in filthy activities, not merely in a symbolic sense. People draw attention to her lyrics, her composed demeanor, and her uncanny ability to stay out of trouble even when she was so near to it. Then there are the rumors that claim she is actively cleaning up after Jay in addition to protecting him. A case of Kathy White. Some say Beyoncé knew, and possibly did something about it. Additionally, while the lyrics of her song appear to admit to a violent toilet scene, people don't perceive that as artwork. They perceive it as a sign of cockiness, as if she's challenging the world to figure it out. This couple's empires linked to thousands of potential victims, Jaguar Wright added. Those who were bought off, women who were silenced, and others who simply vanished. The worst thing, she says, is that Jay supported the same financial machine that helped put R. Kelly in jail to settle personal scores. For vengeance, not justice. All of this depicts a world that most people never see. A world where silence is prized, loyalty is enforced, and chart places are purchased. Where you are either replaced or wiped if you fail to fulfill your task. And the few that attempt to talk like DMX like a cat are called unstable, challenging, or insane. However, they might simply be speaking the truth. Now, the query, it's more than just DMX sabotage. How many others have been, is the real question. And how far would these titans of the industry go to prevent that list from expanding or ever being made public? Katt Williams might be untidy. Despite his wildness, he isn't lying to gain influence. He has endured too much, saw too much, and heard too much. And perhaps it's time for the rest of the world to pay attention if he claims that Beyoncé is aware of the truth about what transpired with DMX.